Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Wayne County. We are a diverse congregation that welcomes you as you are, regardless of age, ethnicity, race, sexual orientation, gender identity, economic status, or physical ability. We come together to seek a deeper meaning and understanding from each other and the world around us. Your presence here today is a gift that brings us closer to that understanding. We are an active community that lives its values beyond the hours of Sunday service, and I would call your attention to the following. After the service, join the UUFWC Humanist Group in the large group room at 11:30. Jim Gentry will do a presentation on artificial intelligence. This presentation will be followed by questions and a discussion. Next Sunday is Coffee with the Minister. If you're new to the fellowship, and the definition of new is up to you, you are welcome to join Reverend Walter in his office shortly after the service. Grab yourself something to drink in the lobby and head down the hall about 15 minutes after the service ends. Gokenauer Goat's Christmas Tree Recycling Service. If you'd like to have your live Christmas tree recycled by hungry goats that would be glad to help, the goats enjoy eating the needles, barks, and twigs. Please be sure to remove all hooks and tinsels before donating. Please drop your tree off by the far side of the sheds in the parking lot by Sunday, January 12th. If you would like to find more information about our activities, feel free to ask Karen Skubik, our membership coordinator, who is not here this morning.
I'm really curious about the goat recycling thing. Are you bringing the goats here? Oh, that would be so cool, though. I would totally be on board for having a goat watching Christmas tree destroying party. That sounds like so much fun. Excellent. I think we should all get our goats. How's everybody doing this morning? It's all of a sudden a beautiful day after all of this cold and snow and all of the stuff we've been dealing with. You want the snow to melt? Well, I've got good news for you. It's probably not going to right away. But I like this. You like the snow. How many of you like the snow? Look at this. You know, snow gets a bad rap. Snow gets a bad rap because so often we think that it means that we're going to be stuck, we're going to be cold, we're going to be all this stuff. But I love that we have this different perspective on the snow. That one of the things I love about the snow is that when it's dark outside, the snow makes it brighter. It makes things a little bit more beautiful. Sometimes we have these ideas that things are bad, when really, if we take a different look at them, we see that there's beauty and possibility. Sometimes we have to change the narrative about what we are taught to find an element of joy. And that is what we are talking about today. We're going to talk about a story that all of you know that has had the narrative flipped on it to change a perspective, and how maybe if we're into the new year, we could try doing the same thing. I want to thank you all for braving the cold this morning to worship with us. I hope to see you all through all of the cold days. I am so glad you find brightness in the snow. Please take a moment now. Please put your cell phones into worship mode. Open your hearts and join us for a time of worship. Just let me right into that.
Our chalice lighting this morning, is a shared story by Reverend Sandra Fees. For the stories that long to be told and retold, for the stories that long to be imagined and reimagined, for the stories that long to be envisioned and celebrated, we kindle this chalice. May its flame bring the light of different truths, different paths, and different voices, all needed to cultivate a transformative story of justice, love, and beauty. Let us now rise in body or spirit as we sing our opening hymn, Just as Long as I Have Breath, number 6 in the gray hymnal.
Good morning. I'd like to invite the kids and the middle schoolers and the teens even to come a little closer. I could use your help today. Anybody? Anybody? Okay, that's close enough. I can come to you. All right, good morning. Well done, my college student. You're very smart. Okay. Good morning. Would anyone like to check the Wonder Box today? Sebastian, would you see what's in there? Would you like to check it? Yeah. Okay, great. Let's go see what's in that big wicker basket. You can just open it and bring over what's inside. What do we have?
Paper.
A bunch of letters. Okay. Sam, right? Okay, Sam, could you pass these out to some of the people that are close to us around here? Anyone who came closer to the story gets a letter. Yeah, that's right. No. No pressure. Okay. If you have a letter, would you mind coming to stand up behind me here very briefly? I know I tricked you. I didn't tell you that part. Okay. Now let's see. We need to spell a word. Let's see where we are so far. Hold them in front of you. Okay. Any guesses on the word we're trying to spell? Story. You guys got it. Okay, can you guys arrange yourself in a story, please? We got it. They did it. Give them a round of applause. That was very impressive. All right. Thank you. Thank you for standing for me. You can have a seat. Story is the word that we're going to be hearing a lot this month because it is our theme. We've already heard it a lot this morning. Yeah. So I have a question for you. Can a story be true? Yes, a story could be true. If I were going to tell you the story of my life, that would be a true story, right? Okay.
I mean, unless you made something up.
Unless I made, oh, that's true. Can a story be made up? Yeah. What's a made-up story that's one of your favorites? It could be a book or a movie. Emmy.
Robin Hood.
Robin Hood's a great made-up story. Can you think of any made-up stories that you like?
Wicked.
Wicked is a great story. Look at that. You did. It's amazing. Yeah. Any others want to tell me a story that you really like?
The Garfield movie.
The Garfield movie. That's definitely a made-up fun story.
I don't know.
Oh, keep thinking. Keep thinking. I know. Whenever I have to think of something, I can't think of it. Okay. So, stories can be made up or they can be true.
I know one.
You got that?
Story of the church, of this church.
The story of this church, would that be a true story or a made-up story?
True story.
A true story and an important story for all of us.
I thought I had another one. Oh, yes, I do.
Yeah.
Garfield comic books.
Gotcha, those are good stories too. Well, the story I have for you today is a made-up story. And this story is about the stories we tell ourselves in our minds when we see the world around us. And it is called The Two Wolves. And it's a story from the Cherokee people. A young boy came to his grandfather filled with anger at another boy who had done him an injustice. Wait a minute, what's an injustice? What do you think?
Something not fair?
Something that is not fair. Is that what you were going to say?
No.
What were you going to say?
Something that's rude?
Something that is rude, it's not fair, it's not right. So he was upset. Someone had done him an injustice. The old grandfather said to his grandson, "Let me tell you a story. I too at times have felt hate for those who've taken so much with no sorrow for what they do. But hate wears you down, and it does not hurt your enemy. Who does it hurt when you feel consumed with hate?
Yourself.
You're the one who's hurting." Grandfather said, "I've struggled with these feelings many times. It is as if there are two wolves inside of me. One wolf is good and does no harm. He lives in harmony with all around him. He tells stories of love and compassion and joy, truth and kindness. He will only fight when it is right to do so and in the right way. But the other wolf is full of anger. He tells stories of rage and jealousy, bitterness and self-pity. The littlest thing will set him off into a fit of temper. He fights everyone all the time, sometimes for no reason. He cannot think straight because his anger and hate are so great. It's a helpless anger, though, because it will change nothing. Sometimes it's hard to live with these two wolves inside of me because both of the wolves try to dominate my spirit and they try to tell their stories louder than each other." The boy looked intently in Grandfather's eyes and asked, "Grandfather, which wolf will win?" Anybody have a guess on which wolf will win?
The good one.
You think the good one's going to win?
The angry one.
You think the angry one might win? He's got a lot of fierce strength.
I mean, normally in the movies, the good guys almost always win.
They usually do. You're going for good. Okay, that's a good way. Good guess. The grandfather smiled and said, "The one that will win is the one I feed." Isn't that interesting? If you don't feed the angry, nasty wolf inside of you, you can't hear it as much. It's still in there. We all have negative thoughts. But try to feed the good wolf. Why do you think the grandfather said that? The one I feed is the one who will win.
Because the one who, like, if you're happy, you do more happy stuff. If you're
Yes.
angry, you do more mad stuff. So what he means by feeding the good wolf is doing more good things. than
Doing
bad.
more good things, thinking more good thoughts, trying to change your perspective a little bit. That's exactly right. Has anyone in here ever felt like you have two wolves inside you that are having a fight? I definitely have, especially lately. My angry wolf has been... I'm trying really hard in this new year to feed my good, kind wolf. Thank you so much for joining me up here today. And now we will sing the kids and the teens out to classes.
constantly amazed at the wisdom of those young people. Please join me now in the spirit of meditation and of prayer. Think of those two wolves inside you. Bless you. Think of the things that sustain you. The wolf that works on goodness. The wolf that works to connect. The pack wolf that supports the others. What are the things that you do in your life that sustain you? What are the things that this wolf encourages you to do? Think of that angry wolf. That quickness to judge. That short fuse. That selfishness. It's in each and every one of us. And at times we need that wolf. And what are you doing to feed the good wolf? What are you bringing to the table to sustain the brightness, the joy, the camaraderie? What are the things that you do that feed the good aspects and feed yourself? You're allowed to have two wolves. But just keep your focus on feeding the good intentions. Even the smallest kernel can be sustaining for a long time. May it be so. It's a new year, and there are a lot of hopes coming into this new year. And I'm willing to bet there are a lot of sorrows coming into this new year. If there is something that has been weighing on your heart, a sorrow, a fear, a concern, that you have brought in here today, know that this is a community that will support you in the hardest of times. You are welcome to, as we sing Spirit of Life, to take one of these stones and to place that fear, that sorrow onto the stone and to let it go. Let it ripple through the community and disperse. And if there is a joy, something that is lifting your heart, a hope, a possibility, I encourage you to do the same. Put that joy on this stone. Put it in the water and let it ripple out and affect us all so that we may feel your joy. I encourage you now, as you are comfortable, to join us in our stones ritual as we sing Spirit of Life. I'd like to introduce you.
Our faith is centered on the belief that we can make this world a better place for all who dwell in it. In order to realize that vision, we need both the motivation and the means. Your donation helps the community put its faith into action by supporting our programming and facilities. This morning and throughout the month of January, donations that are not designated for another purpose will be split with a whole community. A whole community assesses the needs of the community and develops sustainable projects to address those needs. One of these projects is the Community Food Project, fresh produce to food pantries, meal sites, and low-income neighborhoods. The offering will be now collected and gratefully received. For those who are watching online or who do not carry cash, you can donate on our website by scanning the QR code in the order of service and on the screen. Please join me in the unison reading. The words are on the screen. Let us be grateful when we are able to give, for many do not have that privilege. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts with us, for we are enriched by their giving. Let us be grateful even for our needs, so that we may learn from the generosity of others. Our reading this morning is a blog post from Ozan Varal on October 23rd of 2024. People aren't born hating the rain. To a kid, rain isn't a problem, it's an opportunity. They stomp in puddles, smear mud on their hands, and laugh through the mess. But after hearing, "You can't go out, it's raining," or "Get out of the mud," enough times from adults, they start to believe it. Rain is gross. Stay inside. Once that belief takes root, it's no longer just raining outside, it's raining inside your head too. What happens if we rewrite that history? What if instead of saying, "It's raining, you better stay in," we say, "What a beautiful rainy day. Let's go out and have some fun." This isn't just a hollow affirmation. It's about experimenting with a different story, putting on a coat, stepping out into the drizzle, and just seeing what happens. You might discover you love the sound of rain hitting the leaves, or the way everything smells richer, like the whole world just got a reset. And it's not just about the rain. We all have stories we live by that aren't fixed truths. They're just old scripts we've been following without realizing it. If you tell yourself travel is exhausting, you'll only notice the hassles, the delayed flights, the cramped seats, and you'll miss the little joys along the way. If you tell yourself you're awkward in social settings, you'll tense up before conversations even begin, missing moments that could have been easy and fun. The point isn't to force yourself to love every rainy day or magically turn into an extrovert. It's about creating space to question the stories you've been living by and experiment with something new. You're not committing to anything forever. You're just saying, what if? When you play the stories you've been telling yourself, you realize they're just that, stories. And if you don't like the story, you can change the story. Don't change everything all at once. Just crack the door open, put on a raincoat, step outside. See what the world feels like when the rain has just fallen. See what you feel like. The rain isn't going anywhere, but maybe that old story is.
You can change the story. Doesn't that sound like fun? Stories make up everything. Stories make up everything, every culture in this world. And one thing about stories is they often reinforce the norms that we already live with. I remember back in college in some English literature class I was told that American stories tend to focus on exploration and manifest destiny, and British stories tend to focus on keeping the homestead. I don't know how true that is. I haven't done a big comparison study, and apparently somebody is disagreeing with me, which doesn't surprise me in this crowd. But I think of John Steinbeck and Jack London as American authors, and how they focus on that exploration and newness, and how much that's a part of the American ethos that we have in this country. That's the thing about stories, is we love a good story, especially when it affirms what we already believe. And we aren't usually quick to challenge it. Usually. Sometimes we do. I'm going to show a little bit of my age here, and I'm going to ask Chris to play us a TikTok video. This is from a creator named, all one word, Have You Watched? And this creator likes to take popular movie plots and make them seem absolutely horrible. And I want you to see if you can guess what story they're talking about before he gets to the reveal. Chris?
Do you want to watch a movie about a young girl who runs away from home after being tied to a relatively small crime?
Ah, that poor girl.
Then immediately jumps up a few notches on the criminal ladder by killing the first unlucky person who has the misfortune of running into her.
Holy
It gets worse.
It gets worse?
She immediately flees the city. She murdered this person and meets up with a group of unsuspecting people.
Please tell me she doesn't kill them.
No. She recruits them to her cause.
Oh, God, what's the cause?
Little home invasion action.
Lovely. We're covering all the squares on my crime bingo card tonight.
When they finally perform this home invasion, she kills the homeowner.
She kills the homeowner?
She doesn't leave a trace of the body. And do you want to know what the worst part is?
No. Please stop.
She is celebrated every time she kills.
Oh, my God. What movie is this?
It's called The Wizard of Oz. What?
How many of you saw that coming? Yep, I saw that one coming too. Of course, it's The Wizard of Oz. And you know what's fun? One of the most beloved stories in American culture. This is not the first time that story has been rewritten. In 1995, Gregory Maguire published a book where he tells the story of Oz from a different perspective, the Wicked Witch of the West. And he gives her a name and a sympathetic backstory. Anybody want to guess what that name is? Not the witch's name, not the book's name. Elphaba, which is taken from the L and the F in Lloyd L. Frank Baum, is where the name comes from. I happen to have read this book sometime in the 2000s. And what I love about it is this is a story that revolves around the concept. If you call someone evil often enough, that can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. I highly recommend reading this book if you hadn't read it yet. It's very, very good. In fact, I heard there's a Broadway play about it. But it's an amazing story, and what's amazing about it? How many of you have seen the original Wizard of Oz 1939 movie? Some young kid, Judy something, is in it, right? How many of you remember the Wicked Witch of the West from that movie? What was her name in the movie? She didn't even have one. Didn't even have. Is somebody out over here trying to yell out a name? Margaret Hamilton! Thank you! Margaret Hamilton is the actress who played the Wicked Witch of the West. She's from Cleveland? That explains it. Margaret Hamilton was the second choice for that role. Do you want to know why? Originally, the Wicked Witch was going to be a lot prettier. And they wanted to really make this witch ugly. Feel sorry for poor Margaret after that. And she got seriously injured on the set of that as well. But think of how she played that. Is that character sympathetic at all? Green skin, that big prosthetic nose, those large spindly fingers. Oh, look at you, my pretty. And how about that cackle? How about that cackle? Do you know Margaret was a big supporter of children's causes? And she would go to schools, and kids would ask her, "Can you do the cackle?" And she would, and she said they would get this look on their face like, maybe I should not have asked for that. She would have kids come up to her on the street in real life and say, "Why were you so mean to Dorothy?" How evil. How evil was that character? The pinnacle of evil. It's like if you want evil in the dictionary, just draw the Wicked Witch of the West. That's the biggest one you have. And the great thing about that iconic evil witch is it got reinforced for decades in the 70s and 80s when network television decided to scare a new generation of kids annually by playing the movie. She was feared. Evil. Done. No debate. And then, what happened? Somebody writes a book. Somebody puts a different perspective. And now she is no longer the Wicked Witch of the West. She's Elphaba. She's given a sympathetic backstory. She's at least given a name. Humanity. And now suddenly, instead of being feared, every girl in middle school wants to freaking defy gravity. Popular. I'm going to be popular. All right, I don't know the musical. The story has changed. Beginning of the new year. This is a time where we talk about change. This is a time where we examine ourselves and think, how can I change? And what do we usually do? We make promises to quit bad habits, to pick up better ones. This is a time where we focus on solutions to behaviors. And we forget to address the narratives that make these behaviors so concerning to us. What is the most popular New Year's resolution? I'm hearing lose weight an awful lot. Yeah. Don't believe that that's the most popular one? Go to a Weight Watchers meeting this month. Go to the gym this month. Membership in both has skyrocketed. And as someone who used to do Weight Watchers, let me tell you, that first meeting of the year, it was just like, oh, look at all these new people. This is fun. I get to introduce all these new people and get to know them. And then what happens in March? Oh, it's the same 12 people that it's been for the last year. Those old ideas, they go back to those comfortable habits, and I totally get it. But what if we reframe the story about weight loss? What if we ask ourselves, why do we want to lose weight in the first place? For a lot of us, myself included, need to lose weight because I have medical conditions that say you do not need to be carrying that around. That's a good reason to lose weight. How many of us want to lose weight because we've been told since the day we were born that fat is unattractive? We are told, and I looked up studies on this, the belief that fat people are lazy, lack self-discipline, unintelligent. This is the narrative that goes on in our country. The National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health reports that 32% of obese employees are bullied in the workplace, and that on average they make 10 to 15% less than their non-obese counterparts. There is a narrative in this country that fat is bad and unattractive. And we reinforce that in 1,000 little ways. And what if we reframe that? What if we allow fat to be beautiful? Anybody know who Nicola Coughlan is? Oh, interesting. British actor. Chris? Anybody know who this is? Where are my Bridgerton fans? Who is this? Penelope, Penny. Nicola Coughlan's the actress who plays Penelope. Now, full disclosure, I do not watch Bridgerton. But I know who she is, and I had to ask my wife, can you tell me about who this character is? She said, well, Penelope has the arc in season 3. Is that correct? For Bridgerton, she's got the arc in season 3, and she was kind of, from my understanding, kind of the best friend who's not supposed to be attractive in the first season or two, and in the third season becomes the love interest. Take a look at her. Is she pretty? I think she's pretty. I mean, my wife is prettier, but I think she's pretty. She gets to carry a whole season as the love interest. Is she thin? No, she's not. Think about how we do movies and popular culture and how in order to be a romantic lead, there is a certain physicality we expect in our lead actors. And let's face it, Bridgerton is nothing but eye candy, folks. Period piece eye candy. She's allowed to carry a little extra weight and not just be beautiful, be desirable. That's changing that narrative. If we rewrite the story about what beauty is and that it isn't tied to weight, maybe we change that resolution about wanting to lose weight in the first place. Instead of wanting to lose weight to look good, maybe we try something else that makes us feel good instead. Maybe we ask ourselves, who am I trying to look good for anyway? Am I trying to look good for my partner? Am I trying to look good for a potential partner? The world at large? Can I allow myself to look good for myself? Can I find something to like about myself? If you change the idea that you need to look good for others and instead look good for yourself, maybe losing those 10 pounds isn't the answer. You change the story you've been told, you change your world. We all have stories. Stories we believe, stories we don't question. Which got me thinking about the new year. How many of you are looking forward to 2025? Boy, look at the lack of hands that went up. I saw a few go up. You're brave. But I'm with everybody else. I am not looking forward to this year. I really am not. Like you, like many of you, I assume, I'm scared. I'm scared about what the new presidential administration could mean economically and socially. And it seems that every conversation I have devolves to politics at some point in time. And if you have that conversation go on long enough, you will eventually hear or say the following: I can't believe anyone voted for that. Yes? I bet each one of you has an image in your head right now about who that person is who voted for that. Some of you, probably a lot of you, have a friend or a relative who voted for that. Someone you love, someone you respect. And I'm also willing to bet a few of you have an image of what that person looks like in your head that is not kind. You have an idea about who that person is, a stereotypical image. We have told ourselves what this person is like. We have a story that we have already written out for them. And like the Wicked Witch of the West, it's not a very flattering image. And what if we change the story? Do you know why I came to Ohio? I came to Ohio because of the 2016 election. When the 2016 election happened and I saw the blue wall states of Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania fall, I asked myself, why? Why did that happen? Why did people who live in these states where I grew up, people that I knew, why did they believe that immigrants were the cause of all of their woes? Why did these people who I knew who were intelligent believe that LGBTQ people were destroying the idea of home and family values? Why did they believe a real estate agent and TV personality could solve their problems? Why did they believe he could make their world better? And my theory? Because liberal elites like me have been telling them for years they just needed to change and get over it. That they were ignorant for believing what they believed, and instead of listening to their concerns and addressing them, they were met with derision and shame. Aren't you evolved enough to be okay with gay people? How racist are you for believing that immigrants are taking your job? The ideas of shame we put upon them. And what happened? Along comes someone who seems to listen to them, who tells them what they want to hear, who validates them for who they are. Would you support that person if they seem to support you? I wanted to come to Ohio because I believe people who heard that message are not inherently ignorant. They have a different set of concerns. And they're concerns that so many people, like myself, who are liberal elite, do not understand. The fear that the job you have had for years is going to be taken from you. The stories that they tell over and over again that we do not seem to hear. We have a story that we have been telling ourselves about who they are. That these folks are willfully ignorant but they are in crisis. They are living in a world that is changing faster than they can keep up with. All of us are living in that world and are feeling it. And they are struggling how to understand that change. And if we struggle with them to try and understand the depth and the breadth of their pain, maybe we see that they are not so different. Maybe we see that they are us. Maybe we start to build that bridge. Maybe we start working on understanding instead of putting up a wall that separates red from blue. Maybe if we start to change the story we have been telling ourselves about who they are, we no longer see them as wicked. If we can make that cackling wicked witch of the West a sympathetic character, surely we can do that to people who voted differently than us. If we change the story, we could change the world. We all have the stories that we believe to be 100% true. And some of those stories cause us a lot of problems. A lot of us have stories that we learned from our parents about how to be in the world that really don't serve us. I know my mother's watching, so I have to obligatory say that I don't. Maybe we've had stories from the media or popular culture that tell us how to be a man or a woman that we just want to put aside and change what those narratives are. Maybe we have ideas about what it means to be an American that no longer serve us. How many of you actually have asked questions? What does it mean to be a Unitarian Universalist? I almost added another 10 minutes to this sermon going into that one. We're going to skip that. But what I will say is about our faith, about Unitarian Universalism, is our faith not just teaches, our faith demands that we ask questions, that we ask why. Our faith demands that we deconstruct the stories we have been told and to be skeptical always about what is truth. So instead of resolutions this year, if you want to make resolutions, fine, I won't stop you, but I'm going to encourage you to make a pledge to examine some of the stories that maybe you haven't examined before. What are the stories you believe, and what are those stories giving to you? And maybe there's a different perspective, something that'll give you an opportunity of growth, of transformation. Maybe you can liberate yourself from some of the destructive narratives that you've learned. Maybe that new perspective is exactly what you need to fly higher in this new year. Maybe even give you a chance to defy gravity. May it be so. Please join me now in body or spirit as we sing our closing hymn, We Laugh, We Cry. For those keeping up in the hymnals, we're doing verse 1 and 4 only. Please rise in body or spirit.
But
Please be seated. Do you want to? All right. Let's get Jean involved. I like Jean. Jean's cool. Aw. It's a new year, folks. And I know a lot of us are not really looking forward to what may be happening. And. There is always hope. Change the narrative a little bit. We have the ability to do a lot of great things, and sometimes the greatest thing we can do is to just question the stories we have been told. Continue to find humanity in everyone. That is what our faith calls us to do. May it be so.